Louie T. Welcome to the 2019 NFC East projections video here on the Louie T Network. I am going to give you my 2019 projections for the NFC East, a division that is near and dear to my heart. And this is family business for me. I am a Washington Redskins fan, as most of you know. For those of you who don't, yes, I am a Washington Redskins fan and proud of it, even though we have been on hard times of late. Saying of late, I mean the last 30 years, but who's counting anyway, right? So we're going to talk about this division and talk about what we think all the teams are going to do, and I'm going to give you my projections for what I think they're going to do in the upcoming season, how I think this division is all going to play out. Spoiler alert, we're not going to have a repeat division winner, and I don't know if this division has had a repeat division winner in the last, 18 years or something like that, 15 years, something along those lines. I think it's going on 15 years now, since like 2003, whatever the case may be. That trend is going to continue in 2019. And one of the worst teams in the league will reside in this division. So spoiler alert there as well. So with that being said, as you can see, the divisional records from last year at the top of the screen scrolling across, and not much has changed. This is going to be a tough division to win. It's going to be nip and tuck. The teams in the division are going to beat the hell out of one another. I don't know if anyone, okay, the Cowboys went 5-1 in the division last year. I don't foresee that happening this year. That 5-1 too, they swept the Eagles last year. They swept the Giants. The Redskins were the only team to get them in the division. That's not happening this year. The Eagles are a better team. I don't think the Giants are a better team, but they're capable of winning. And I think the Redskins are a better team as well, even though their quarterback position leaves a lot to be desired at this point. But that's not to say that they can't jump up and beat the Eagles or the Cowboys in this division as well. So with that being said, let's jump into this division and talk about what I think is going to happen in the NFC East in 2019. We start with the team that won this division a season ago, and that's America's team, Jersey Boys. Let's take a look at their 2019 schedule and what I think is going to take place. So you look at this schedule, and week one, it seems like they play the Giants every year in week one. And I know that's probably not true. I'd love to know who the Giants or the Cowboys have played in week one the last 7 years. I guarantee you they've played the Giants at least 4 times in a 7-year stretch. Normally this game is on Sunday Night Football, but not this particular year. So I'd go out on a limb and tell you that the Giants are the team they've played the most in week one over the last 7 years. And that trend continues in 2019. But without saying too much, the Giants are not a good football team, and the Cowboys are going to be a very solid football team. Whether they have Zeke or not back for week one remains to be seen. It doesn't matter. They're going to win that football game, take care of the Giants in week one. Week two, they're going to Washington, which is amazing. Last year, the Redskins didn't have a divisional game until like week 7, and the Cowboys were the first team that they played in the division. And the Redskins were able to get them at FedEx Field. It was a memorable game with the field goal doinking off the upright, and the Redskins getting a dramatic victory over the Cowboys. I don't know if it's going to be that dramatic. As a matter of fact, I don't know if the Redskins fans are going to show up or not. We'll see. It's early in the season. The Redskins will still have hope at that point of the season. Cowboys fans travel very well. I assume they're going to take over the stadium, but it won't be enough, as I think the Redskins still get them in week number 2 to drop them to 1-1 on the season. But just out of the gate, the Cowboys played 2 straight NFC East games, so those are important for them to get off to a good start. You go to week number 3, they're at home against the Dolphins. That's a safe landing game. The Dolphins aren't going to be very good in 2019, and the Cowboys are going to take care of them at home. Then the next week, they're on the road at New Orleans, a team that they beat late in the season last year. If you remember, the Cowboys got red hot at the end of the year after they traded for Amari Cooper, and the Saints came in, I think, riding like a 9 or 10 game win streak, and the Cowboys cooled their ass off with some nasty defense en route to a low scoring affair that they won something like maybe 13 to 9 or 10 or something like that, 14-10 or something along those lines. Whatever the case may be, the Cowboys are going to have to try to do it again to the Saints. This time it's in New Orleans on a Sunday night, no less. No way you're going into the Superdome and winning this football game against the Saints. It's just not happening. Not on the road, not on primetime television. I just don't see it happening. The following week, though, you get Green Bay at home. In past years, this would have been a loss, but I don't think the Packers are as good as they have been in the past. And so Randall Cobb gets a little bit of revenge against his old team as the Cowboys take care of the Green Bay Packers at the crib. Now, the following week, you're at the Jets. I think the Jets are going to be a vastly improved football team, but not improved enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys. I think you go on the road. It's going to be tough. It will not be easy, and I could easily see you losing this football game. If they shut down Zeke, I think he'll be back by then. He'll be back before the season starts. I think they're going to figure that thing out. But I think you're going to have some issues with teams that can stop the run. If the Jets can stop the run with Greg Williams as their defensive coordinator, that could be a trap game there. But I think you navigate your way through that trap and find a way to win. Now your first matchup with the Eagles comes, and this is going to be a pivotal matchup because those are the two teams I think have a realistic shot at winning this division in 2019. And so if you're the Cowboys, this is a big one here against the Eagles at the crib. You can't afford to drop games at the crib versus teams in the division. You just cannot, because it's so hard to win on the road in the division. So if you're the Cowboys, you must take care of this game, and I think they will. I think they will do that after the loss to New Orleans on the road on a Sunday night. They win 3 straight going into their bye, and the Cowboys are 5-2 heading into their Week 8 bye. And that's a nice place to bye, and that's a nice position to be at heading into your bye. You come out of the bye, though, and you're on primetime television again, this time at the Giants. Remember, I've talked about how many times you've played the Giants on primetime television. Normally, those games are in Dallas. So there are a few sprinkled in there that are in the Meadowlands in New York. Well, this is one of them on a Monday night. And I think off the bye week, unfortunately, you don't get this one here as the Giants amped up because they're on national TV for one of the few times that they're going to be on national television. Get it done against the Dallas Cowboys, and you drop that game, ending your 3-game win streak. But don't fret. Right after that loss, you bounce back with a win versus the Kirk Cousins-led Minnesota Vikings. All right, and so you take care of them at the crib. Then you go on the road and you take care of the Detroit Lions as well. They're not going to be a very good football team, I don't believe, in 2019 either. So you take care of those two teams. And right now, you know, you head into a stretch versus a couple of AFC East teams back-to-back at New England. Very, very intriguing game here. One that I think, I wouldn't be shocked if you won that football game, but I don't foresee that taking place. You lose to the New England Patriots, but they gave you a layup on Thanksgiving. And not to say that the Bills are super trash. It could have been worse. It could have been the Dolphins or the Lions for that matter. But the Lions have their own Thanksgiving Day game. But it could have been worse. But I would have liked to have seen you play someone a little bit tougher than the Buffalo Bills on Thanksgiving. That being said, I don't want to shit on the Buffalo Bills because they're a tough team in their own right. But I don't see you. I don't see you losing to the Buffalo Bills at home. I just don't. And so I see you taking care of business on Thanksgiving versus the Bills. And now you get that long layoff that the Cowboys often get after a Thanksgiving game. But the last 2 years, they've abbreviated that long layoff, and they've made you play on consecutive Thursdays. You played on 2 straight Thursdays last year. You're playing on 2 straight Thursdays this year as you head to Chicago on a Thursday night. I do not like that spot for you there against the Bears. That's a tough defense. I think they're going to look to stop Zeke first and then get after Dak, and I don't think it's going to be pretty. Similar to what they did to the Rams late in the season last year on a national stage. I think they're going to do the same thing to your offense in that football game. Then the following week, you have the Rams on at home, and that's a winnable football game, but I think the Rams are a better football team than you, so I think they're going to get you in that game. And then the Eagles look to exact a measure of revenge. Last year, you swept them. This year, I do not see it happening. I just don't see you sweeping the Eagles this time around. And so after going into that last stretch of games, that final quarter of your season at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, after going into that final stretch of games at 8-3, you've now lost, 8-4. and looking in prime position to make the postseason, you've lost 3 straight. And really all you needed to do was win one of those games to set you up in a Week 17 situation where you're win and you're probably in against the Redskins at home. Instead, you've dropped 3 straight, and now you stare 9-7 squarely in the face, which is exactly what you're going to get because you beat the Redskins, but you go 9-7, and that's not good enough to get into the postseason. 3-3 in the division is pretty much what doomed you. You beat the Giants at New York after your bye week. You beat the Redskins in week 2 at home, and you're probably going to make the postseason at 10-6. Instead, you go 3-3 in the division. You split with every team in the division, and because of that, you drop to 9-7, and you miss out on the postseason by a game. And so that's a tough, bitter pill to swallow because you were 8-4 going into the final stretch of the season. All you needed to do was win 2 out of your final 4, and you were in, and you couldn't get that done. And that sucks if you're the Dallas Cowboys. You go to the team last year that finished second in this division and actually made it to the divisional round where they could have easily been in the NFC Championship game once again if Alshon Jeffrey never, ever trust a man with 2 first names catches that football late in that ball game. But that's nor here nor there. It's now 2019. Let's look at this Eagles schedule. We start with a home contest versus the Washington Redskins. So they're starting out just like the Cowboys are starting out their season against a divisional opponent. And it's one that I think they can handle at the crib. I think they take care of the Redskins. The Redskins really owe them from a couple of years back when they came into FedEx Field in week 1 in a game that the Redskins thought they were going to win. And the Eagles came in, stole that game, and went on to have what we turned out to find out later on, a Super Bowl season. And so I think the Redskins owe them. And I don't know if everyone was really thinking the Eagles were going to be that good that season. And maybe it could be the Redskins' turn. I don't know. I'm hoping so, but I don't anticipate that happening in week 1. And so they get the win there. But the following week, now you're talking about a team looking to exact a measure of revenge. If you remember, the Falcons season started off very ominously in Philadelphia on a Thursday night. Remember, Eagles won the Super Bowl. They got their rings. And so the Falcons came to town. They lost final stages of that football game, similar to the playoff game the year prior. And they lost a key player on their defense, Keanu Neal. It wasn't a good game for the Falcons, and they lost, the Falcons. Now the Eagles are coming to town, and the Falcons have all those memories playing in their head of being bounced from the playoffs the last time they were in it against these Eagles, and also losing last week. Not just the game, but a painful loss that really was, to me, a microcosm of their season, losing a key vital player to their defense. I think they're going to look to exact a measure of revenge and get this one in week 2, and I think they do versus this Eagles football team. You go to week number 3, home for the Lions. Again, I don't think the Lions are going to be a very good team, so I expect you to take care of business there. But then the following week, you're on the road, short turnaround, Thursday night football at the Packers. Do not like that spot for you there on the road versus Aaron Rodgers and company. So you take the L there. But you bounce back with 2 consecutive wins, the first of which come at home versus the Jets. I think you take care of them there. And then the following week, Kirk Cousins and company are at home in a game that I think you're looking to exact a little bit of revenge yourself. Remember, the Vikings came into Philadelphia last year when you were struggling and got the dub, a much-needed dub for them. I think you're going to go back to Minnesota this year and get what you think is rightfully yours, and that's a dub. And I think you're going to do exactly that on the road versus the Minnesota Vikings in a win there. You just know how to play Kirk Cousins. You know him. You know what his strengths are, weaknesses, and I think you try to exploit that and get a dub. The next 2 weeks, though, a little tough on you on the road, and this is in the midst of 3 consecutive road games for the Philadelphia Eagles. You're at the Minnesota Vikings. You get the first of the 3 roadies, but the next 2 are toughies. At Dallas, which I just don't see you getting that one, and then you're at Buffalo, and that is such a tough place to play. My goodness, people underestimate how tough it is to go into Ralph Wilson Stadium and win, and I just don't see you going in there and getting it done. And so after that, you get a home game versus the Bears. I struggled with this one. I really did, because I could easily see Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson and company and Roquan Smith and that gang really doing a number on Carson Wentz and this Eagles offense. smothering you and holding you to 13 points and them winning the game 23-13. I could really see that happening, but I went back and forth. This was the most back and forth I had with any game on any team's schedule. I literally marked this game out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And I finally settled in on an Eagles victory versus the Bears going into their bye week. I just can't see the Bears sweeping the entire division. They've already beaten Dallas. I have them beating the Redskins and the Giants. I can't see them winning against the entire division. Someone in the division is going to beat them, and I think that team is going to be the Eagles because they have the best shot because they're at home. The Cowboys play them on the road, and the Giants play them on the road, and I just don't think the Redskins on a Monday night is going to be good enough, and the Redskins don't play well on primetime television anyway. I think the best chance of any team in the division is Eagles at home, and so that's the team that will get them, as that takes the Eagles right into their bye week. You go into your bye at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4. So not the greatest start for you. And right now you're trailing the Cowboys, who have started off the season red hot in the division. And so right now you're looking up at the Cowboys, and seems like, this thing is kind of slipping away from you. You need to get hot, and that Bears win before the bye gives you, after 2 straight losses, gives you a little momentum heading into your bye. You come out of the bye, and you're a different football team. The Patriots come to town, and that's a matchup that I actually think that you've got a legitimate shot at winning, and you do win. And I think you remember the last time you played the Patriots, you went to New England and destroyed the Patriots, had some special teams plays against them. Also, a big return for a touchdown. I think it might have been Malcolm Jenkins with like a 97-yard interception for a touchdown, pick 6. I could see you taking them down, as do I see you doing the same thing the following week against the Seattle Seahawks. I think that's a game that you're capable of winning as well. And so I see you beating the Seahawks. The Dolphins, I told you, I don't think they're going to be a very good squad. I see you winning that football game as well. And just like that, after 2 straight losses, you win 4 straight. And just like that, you go from 5-4 to now 9-4. Then the Giants come to town on a Monday night, and I like that spot for you as well. And so all of a sudden, here is a Eagles team playing with a ton of confidence as you take care of the Giants. And now all of a sudden, you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and let's see, and 4 on the season. And with 3 left, and all 3 against the division. So, and 2 of them are on the road, which is tough, but they're doable. And so the first of those 3 against straight division opponents to finish up the season, 2 of 3 on the road, is on the road at Washington. And this is a trap game right here. And Dwayne Haskins will be playing at this point, and the Redskins will be hyped up for this one. You came in, took over the stadium last year in week 17. It was embarrassing. That's not going to happen this time around, and there will be Redskins fans actually in attendance because Dwayne Haskins will be playing, and it'll be one of the few last times they'll get to see him on the field as a rookie. And so I think the Redskins show up and show out in this ball game and actually get the dub versus the Philadelphia Eagles in this football game and end their 5-game win streak. Again, it was a trap game, and the Eagles fell right into the trap. However, they bounced back the following week at home versus the Cowboys. And then in week 17, the Giants won't have much to play for, but Daniel Jones will be playing. And so they'll be excited about that. But you still go into New York because I think you'll need this game for positioning purposes. I don't know if you'll necessarily need it for the division. So you could lose this game potentially. But I still think you win, just like the Cowboys didn't need it last year and they went into New York and won in week 17. I see you doing the same thing in 2019 as well. That puts the Eagles at 11-5, division winners with a 4-2 mark inside the division. And yes, they make the postseason. Unfortunately, they're the only team in this division making the postseason as they go 11-5. You go to the team that finished 3rd in this division last year. It's the team that's going to finish 3rd in this division this year. My Washington Redskins. And let me say this before I start. The Redskins defensively are going to be in some ball games. And if they stay healthy like they did, relatively healthy on the defensive side of the football like they did last year, they're going to have some chances to win football games. What frustrates me about this particular team in this year is we're wasting a great opportunity with the schedule. Look at the Redskins bye. It comes in week 10. I mean, you don't get much better than that. Last year, I think we had a week 5 bye. The year before that, I think we had like a week 4 bye. And those byes kill you when they're that early in the season. You don't think after Alex Smith's injury last year versus the Texans in week 10, you don't think we could have used a bye week to recuperate, have the shock and sting of that wear off, and have Colt McCoy have a whole week's worth of practice to get ready for the next game? You don't think that would have helped? Because I damn sure do. You know, it sucked that Alex Smith gets hurt and we got a short turnaround the next week because I think we played a Thursday night game versus the Cowboys on Thanksgiving the following week, if I'm not mistaken. All right? So it would have been great to have had a week 10 bye last year and have that Alex Smith injury happen, have a whole week to process it, get Colt McCoy ready for the upcoming game, and then go on with the rest of our season. A week 10 bye, you pay money for that, and we're going to waste it. And you look at this schedule, and we don't know who's going to be good and who's not going to be good, but I'll take a schedule that has the 49ers, who I actually think is going to be improved this year, the Dolphins, and the Jets, Lions on it. I'll take a schedule that'll have those teams on it any season, and we're going to waste it. But let's get into the schedule. So you already know how I feel about week 1. I think the Redskins will have a legitimate shot at week 1 at Philadelphia, but I don't think they're going to win that football game, and so got them losing that game. Now, week 2, you already know. I already said it. I think the Redskins find a way to get the Cowboys in week 2 at the crib. I'm going to be juiced up for that football game because I don't know how many we're going to get in the division, and there'll still be life in this team in week 2. So I'm excited about that one. Anytime we play the Cowboys, I'm geeked up anyway. But that one's going to be a big one because it's still wild. The Redskins still think they have a legitimate shot early in the season. Then you get to week 3 on a Monday night. Man, I went back and forth on this game because we can beat the Bears. The Bears aren't all that. Mitchell Trubisky is a guy you can confuse and force into some mistakes. Their offense isn't all that great. They got some playmakers on that side of football. Don't get it twisted, but it's nothing that our defense can't handle, but it's Monday night. We don't play well on primetime television. At home, no less. It's just not a good spot for the Redskins. And oh, by the way, they have an elite defense that's probably going to sink its teeth into our pedestrian offense. I just don't like that spot for the Redskins. I don't. But the following week, I like that spot against the Giants. And so we're on the road. And I remember when the Meadowlands used to be a house of horrors for us? Not so much anymore. I'm not afraid to go in there and try to get a dub. We've done it 2 out of the last 3 years. I think we can do it again this year. And so I like our chances early in the season to go. So you're 2-2. Remember this murderer's row stretch. You won the 2 that you needed to win because I don't think you're beating the Eagles on the road, and I don't think you're beating the Bears at the crib. You won the 2 out of that first 5-game stretch that you needed to get to salvage your season. Because if you fall to 1-4 or 0-5 after this stretch, your season's dead in the water. So you got the 2 that you really needed to get because you're not beating the Patriots at home, even though I think it's a possibility. Every year we play the Patriots at home, we give them a run. I think we even beat them one year. I don't see us beating the Patriots, though. I'm going to just be real with you. It wouldn't shock me if we beat the Patriots. You know, it's not out of the realm of possibility. The Patriots, if you're going to get the Patriots, you need to do it early in the season before they start to figure shit out. Week 5 is early enough that you can get the Patriots before they figure some shit out. I just don't see us being a team that helps them start to figure some shit out. So, the Dolphins on the road, I've already said that I like that spot for the Redskins. I think that's a very winnable football game. So is the next week versus Jimmy G and the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, coming back to Washington for his second time since leaving as the Redskins offensive coordinator as 49ers head coach. Remember, in his first season, Pierre Garçon and company almost came in and stole one. That would have been a heartbreaking loss. But we managed to win that game. I think we're going to win this one as well. You go to week 8 at the Vikings on a Thursday night. So quick turnaround, Thursday night football, Kirk Cousins and company. It'll be the first time the Redskins will have seen Kirk since leaving Washington. As bad as I want this one, and I think we can get it, I just don't see us beating those guys. They're a better football team than we are. Defensively, they're going to, and this is the problem. As Redskins fans, we think about our defense and how good our defense can be and how we can affect teams. What about other good defenses affecting our offense that we don't know how good it's really going to be and how we know we're going to have issues at quarterback and offensive line issues right now? You got to think about it in those terms as well. Like if it's an elite defense, yeah, our defense has a chance to be elite, but we don't know how good our defense is going to be. If you know you're going up against an elite defense, the Vikings, when they're at their best, they're an elite defense and they're well coached. You got to know that they're going to be able to affect our offense. And that's what and like teams like the Bears and even the Cowboys to a lesser degree, and the Vikings and the Bills have a chance to be really good. The Jets, these are all teams that have defenses that can affect our offense as well. So you have to take that into consideration. I got us going to Buffalo the following week and losing that football game as well. That's just a tough place to play. Like I said, with the Eagles having to go to Buffalo and losing that game, I just think the Bills are a team that they're just tough to beat in Orchard Park. If that game were in FedEx Field, I'd take the Redskins in that game. I just don't like that spot for the Redskins. So then we hit our bye, and at this point, the Redskins are now 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So not bad going into the Week 10 bye at 4 and 5. You're not dead. You're right where you need to be positioning yourself for a late season run, which is what the Redskins generally have to do to get into the postseason anyway. When's the last time we were 8-3 and the playoffs were a definite? Now it's about seeding. We haven't been that good since the Joe Gibbs 1.0 days. We don't do that. And so anytime we get in, it's a backdoor entrance with a 5-game win streak to wrap up the season to get in. So we're positioning ourselves for one of those runs if we want to go on one of those runs. You come off the bye, Jets at the crib. Love that spot for the Redskins, even though it's Greg Williams and a very menacing defense. I think we're good enough to get that win at the crib. The following week, home for Detroit. Really, really love that spot for the Redskins as well. Very winnable football game. I see them taking care of business there. So just like that, off the bye, 2 straight wins, and voila, you're over 500 at 6 and 5. So now 5 games left, 6 and 5, stretch run. What do? You win conceivably 3 out of these final 4, or 5, excuse me, and you give yourself a chance at 9 and 7. You win 4 out of 5, and you're probably going to make the postseason at 10 and 6. What do the Redskins do? 3 out of their final 5 are on the road, and they're all against top-notch competition. You're not winning those football games. Let's face it. So at Carolina, I don't like that spot. First of all, we've never beaten Cam Newton in Carolina. Matter of fact, the first time we beat Cam Newton was last year at home, and we barely got that done. Every time we went to Carolina against Cam Newton, he's annihilated us. I don't see this being any different now. We do have a different defense this year. I don't care. I don't see us going to Carolina and winning that football game. And so I'm going to chalk that one up as a loss for the Redskins in week 12 or 13, excuse me. The following week, you're on the road at Lambeau. Again, when the Packers come to FedEx, we have success. We've beaten Aaron Rodgers multiple times at FedEx Field, okay, including a shellacking the last 2 times. When Kirk went off on a Sunday night, and last year we beat them at FedEx Field, in which was our best offensive game of the season with Alex Smith early in the season last year. At Lambeau, totally different story. I can't tell you the last time the Redskins won there. I don't anticipate that changing this year. I've got the Packers taking care of business there. The Eagles at the crib, you already know. I think we're going to win that football game. So now you look at the Redskins, you're 7 and 7 with 2 games left to go in the season. What are the Redskins going to do? What do the Redskins do every year with Jay Gruden as their head coach? They go 7 and 9. We've been 7 and 9 the last 2 seasons. Why do you think it's going to be any different this year? And so the Giants come into town. You're thinking, oh, the lowly Giants, they stink. Yeah, they stink. But guess what? We're not that much better. And so last year they came in at this same spot and beat the shit out of us. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen this year, but they're going to come in and beat us again. All right, we're not sweeping the Giants. And then week 17, the Cowboys are like, yo, you know, we don't know if we're going to make the playoffs or not, but we definitely need to win this game to do it. So we got to take you down. And so they finish up 9 and 7. We finish up 7 and 9. And again, Jay Gruden is going to probably be fired at season's end. You know what? I actually like Jay. I go through this every year. I want a different coach because I know Jay probably isn't the guy to take us where we want to go, but I like Jay a lot. And he's really done a good job of navigating the bullshit that transpires at Redskins Park every single year. He does I don't know of many guys that can put up with the shit that happens at Redskins Park the way that Jay does, with a great sense of humor and a great attitude. And this has been one of his best camps. And Jay is actually running this shit the right way, and we still go 7-9. It's unfortunate. We go 3-3, which is an upgrade in the division. Last year we were 2-4, but still ain't good enough to make the postseason, and that's what it's all about when it's all said and done. Now, to the team that I think is going to be one of the worst in football in 2019. I mean, I generally don't do this to teams because, especially the Giants, because the Giants don't generally bottom out, but they're going to stink. They stink this year. I think they're going to be absolutely horrible. You don't get to do the things that their general manager, Dave Gettleman, did this offseason and not pay for it. You got to pay for this shit, all right? You trade away some good players that's still in the prime of their career, and you turn over this roster for no apparent reason, and players are dropping left and right. Your first-round corner, you just avoided disaster with him with the torn ACL, but he's going to be out for a little while. Corey Coleman, and it's a shame when we're talking about Corey Coleman and him having an impact, but you were counting on production from Corey Coleman. He tears his ACL. You got a broken thumb on one of your best receivers in Sterling Shepard. He's going to miss the first few weeks of the season. And then you got your Golden Tate, one of your biggest offseason acquisitions. He's going to be suspended the first 4 weeks of the season. Before you even get a shot out of the gate, you're going to be throwing the football to a bunch of no-names at receiver and hoping and praying that it's enough to win you a game or two to start your season off. And it's a shame because the start to your season is one that will allow you to get off to a really good start if you were at full strength. Problem is, you're not going to be at full strength, and you're going to have a really young team. It's going to be the blind leading the blind. I don't know if your offensive line is that much improved, even though I like some of the moves you've made this offseason, including getting Kevin Zeitler to shore things up at guard. Bottom line is, you're not beating Dallas in week 1, okay? You're not beating Buffalo in week 2. You're just not. I like Buffalo in that spot. You're not beating the Buccaneers on the road in week 3. And you're not beating the Redskins in week 4 at home. So just like that, Golden Tate now coming off suspension is going to help in week 5 versus the Vikings, and it's going to give you a little bit of a boost, and so you win that game. But then you get the short-lived, quick turnaround, Patriots on a Thursday night on the road. Shit. You know, just when you thought it was safe to come out and start to play a little bit, here come the Patriots to bust up any kind of good feeling and good vibes from the one win you just got. That's dead. Then Kyler Murray and this electric Cardinals offense. The league is just starting to figure them out, but you haven't figured them out yet. And so, you lose that game too. Yeah, that's unfortunate. You go to Detroit, and the Lions aren't a very good team, and this is a very winnable football game, but not for you because you're one of the worst teams in the league. So right now, you're looking at a Giants team similar to, was it last year or the year before, where you started off the season like 0-6 and you won a game nobody thought you were going to win on the road at Denver on a Sunday night. You're kind of like in that territory right now. You've already won those, so you're off the hook there, but it's not going to get much better for you this season. You know, you're at Dallas on a Monday night, or excuse me, you're home for Dallas on a Monday night. That's a winnable game. I'm going to give you that one. I've already said I was going to give you that one. But then the following week, you're on the road versus the Jets. About that game. No, I actually don't see you winning that game as you go into your bye week at 2-8. Ouch. As I mentioned, not going to be much better for you off the bye week. That's not a good spot for you off the bye at the Bears. Why would the schedule makers do that to you? I don't know. That's not nice. The next week, the Packers come to town. It's a winnable football game, but again, not for you because you're not a good football team. Then the next week, you're on Monday Night Football at Philly. Yikes. Zoinks, Scoob! Not a great spot there either. And so, hey, it's the Dolphins. They're not a good football team. You can win that game at the crib, no less, right? Right? Wrong. You lose that game too. Redskins. Found one for you Redskins aren't very good themselves. You know them, family business, yada, yada, yada. You know how it goes. You get that one, but then you finish up the season, unfortunately, losing to the Philadelphia Eagles, and you finish up the season at 3-13. Ouch. I know that's rough, and I know Giants fans that are here are not going to be happy. I'm ready for all of your slander. I'm ready for it. Hey, bring it on. You're not going to affect me. I just don't think you're going to be a good football team this year. You got to pay for the shit you did this offseason. You got to pay for it. That shit is not free. It costs. When you do dumb shit, you have to pay. You're going to pay by going 3-13. Your coach is going to get fired and Pat Shurmur. And I wouldn't be surprised if ownership starts looking around at your GM and saying, bitch, you did this. You got to go too. But I think he's going to get a chance to turn this thing around. And again, I told you I was going to take a wait-and-see approach with what he did. Daniel Jones may actually be a good football player. We're going to find out. I like some of the draft picks that you made. I love Dexter Lawrence. I think O'Shane Ximines is going to be really good. I actually liked your draft. All right. However, you got to pay for the shit you did this offseason. And you're already slowly paying now with some of the injuries. I'm just saying. And so, obviously, 3-13, not good enough to make the postseason. So, as you can see, the division shakes out like this. Eagles finish first at 11-5. They go 4-2 in the division, and they win the division, and they make the postseason. Cowboys finish in second, 9-7. They go 3-3 in the division. They just miss out on the postseason at 9-7, similar to the Panthers and Falcons, who also missed the playoffs at 9-7. The Cowboys join that group of that conglomerate of 9-7 teams that just miss out on the postseason. Redskins had a chance with 5 games to go. They were sitting there at 7-6, they were sitting there at 6-5, and they just couldn't pull it out with 5 games left. They finish at 7-9, which is what they do every year with Jay Gruden as their head coach, and they go 3-3 in the division. And the Giants are one of the worst teams in the league. They're vying for the first pick in the draft at 3-13, finishing 2-4 in the division. I can't wait for you guys to comment, to chime in. We're live here in a second with this breakdown of this division. I want to hear from you guys. Can't wait. Bart Scott, can't wait. It's the NFC East in 2019, Louie T style. We'll talk about it. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage. It could be. Come on, bring it on. I know it's a lot of y'all that got some shit to say. Bring it on. Your man Louie T is ready. I'll see you guys in a little while. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.